What's going on, guys? It's Patrick here, and today I'm coming at you guys with a video comparing Shadows of Evil to Eisendrache. I've had so many people ask me what my thoughts are on this map, and is it as good as Shadows of Evil? Is it as good as the Giant? Is it even as good as Origins? I've had so many people asking me these things, and I wanted to make a video just sort of comparing it. So, basically, how this is going to work is we're going to look at both maps in terms of 7 different aspects, and these aspects are features and weapons, feel or atmosphere, characters, learnability, story, innovativeness, and difficulty. Anyways, guys, if you want to leave a like on this video, that would be as always appreciated. But anyways, let's get into it. All right, so the first thing that we're going to look at are weapons and features. Now, honestly, both maps did a great job in this category. First off, let's look at Shadows of Evil. Now, SOE had the Apothecant Servant, the sword, and the upgraded Pack-a-Punch system. Whereas looking at Eisendrache, we had 4 new upgradable bows, the gravity spikes, and that is really it, I guess. So kind of 2 versus 3 new things. However, honestly, I think I would say that Eisendrache did a better job here, simply for the reason that you have access to 4 different weapons. It's kind of like Origins, where you've got the 4 different bows. Every player can get their own weapon, and I really think that adds a lot. Now, I would say that the sword is probably a cooler feature than the gravity spikes. However, the DG4 is very, very cool in and of itself. So overall, I think that both maps did a really good job, but I think that in this case, Eisendrache did a slightly better job just because you have 4 people that can all use the wonder weapons. All right, next up, we're going to look at the setting, feel, atmosphere, whatever you want to call it. Basically, just the colors, the vibe you get from the map, just, you know, the visuals, the aesthetics, all that sort of stuff. So first off, looking at Shadows of Evil. Now, Shadows of Evil is a very colorful map, and I really appreciate this about it. It's a very nice looking map. I think it's awesome, and I really like the whole city feel. It's very unique, and I don't think it's really been done like that ever before. I think they did an amazing job. Now, Eisendrache is a very cool map, but I don't think that it compares to Shadows of Evil in terms of colors. It's just such a bright, nice looking map, and although it can be kind of dark in some places, I really think that Shadows of Evil did a good job here in terms of aesthetic. And, you know, at the end of the day, Eisendrache is a snow map, which is just never going to be the nicest looking map. So I'm going to give the 1 point here to Shadows of Evil. All right, the next thing that we're going to look at is difficulty. And I feel like this is something that is often overlooked, but it is very important in making a hit or miss map. So if a map is too easy, it's just not very fun. A good example of this, I feel like, is Die Rise with that Sliquifier. However, if a map is too hard, it's just no fun for the average player. A good example of this would be something like 5 or maybe Shangri-La. If you're just not a super powerful player, you're going to struggle with it, and it's not going to be very fun for you. So looking at Shadows of Evil, I think that this is probably the easier of the 2 maps sometimes. The only thing that makes Shadows of Evil hard, honestly, is the Margwa. If there were no Margwas on that map, it would be one of the easiest maps in all of Zombies. You've got the double Pack-a-Punch to make your guns way stronger. So honestly, I mean, I've gotten to round 37 with nothing but the RK5 and a Shiva. However, once that Margwa spawns in, it does get pretty tough, and you really gotta like be strategic with it and take your time and be patient to take that guy out, because he can be very difficult. With Eisendrache, on the other hand, I feel like it's a little bit more consistent, so it's typically harder, but when you get the Panzer, it's not that much harder as it is with the Margwa. I just feel like the Margwa is good at switching things up. However, the Panzer, although I think he's honestly a harder boss, I don't think that it makes it as hard, because he's kind of straightforward to kill, whereas the Margwa, you really got to be patient and take your time with it once you get into those later rounds. So honestly, I'm going to say this is a tie, although I feel like Eisendrache did a slightly better job, not enough to actually give it a point. Next up, we're going to look at the characters, and again, this is something that is often overlooked in making a good map. I feel like a lot of the reason we didn't like the Buried and Die Rise and Transit was because the characters were just not interesting. And let's be honest, this is not a fair comparison. You've got these new characters that are only in this map once versus the original 4. It just you can't compare it. Eisendrache is going to win. Like the Nikolai, Dempsey, Takio, and Richtofen, it just doesn't compare to these other characters. I think that Nero and Jessica and the Boxer and the Cop, I think they did a good job at adding new characters, and they're probably one of the better sets of not the original characters, but it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, the original characters are always going to be better, so obviously we're giving a point to Der Eisendrache there. Next up, we're going to look at something that is closely related to characters, and that is storyline. Now, not everybody likes storyline, but I feel like the people that do and are involved in the storyline really let that influence how they feel about a map. So it's very important to some people. So looking at Shadows of Evil, we've got this Cthulhu world where you've got these characters that are kind of bored, the idea is kind of bored from Mob of the Dead, I would say, of just they've sinned and, you know, this evil is kind of going after them and doing all this stuff. And it's a very cool idea, very cool storyline. And looking at how it contributes to the overall storyline is interesting because not a lot happens, but what does happen is very significant because Richtofen gets the summoning key and he can now go ahead and do everything that he's about to go do in Black Ops 3. So it sets things up very, very well. Now looking at Der Eisendrache, on the other hand, a lot happens, okay? We blew up the moon. That means the moon doesn't happen anymore. That whole thing where we blew up the world, yeah, that doesn't happen anymore. Okay, that's gone in this dimension. That is not a thing anymore now that the moon is blown up. So, although I feel like Shadows of Evil did a really good job because they set everything up that's going to happen throughout this DLC season, Der Eisendrache is crazy. Really mind-blowing stuff going on in this map when you look at the thing. And I just think it progressed things a lot more. So we're going to give the point to Der Eisendrache, although honestly in this situation, I think both did a great job. Next up, we're going to look at innovativeness. This is something that is always hard to do because Treyarch's always doing such a good job adding new things and new things and new things. And if you don't add these new things, it gets boring. So let's look at Shadows of Evil. We've got this new world, it's Cthulhu monsters and all these tentacles. You've got the giant thing over the city when you do the pack-a-punch and rituals and keepers. Honestly, Shadows of Evil, I would say, is one of the most innovative maps in zombies. It really did a great job here. You look at everything they added in there. You know, the wonder weapon's very cool, but just this whole Cthulhu thing, you know, everything is so related in this map. The train system, how it transports you around, and the rifts. Honestly, like, I think this is the one thing that Shadows of Evil nailed out of the park is innovativeness. It's such an original map, and it really is Treyarch's gigantic masterpiece. Now, you can argue, and we'll talk about this in a second, how well it was in practice, but the theory of it and just how innovative they were with this map was awesome. Now, looking at Der Eisendrache, this was a very innovative map as well, but I'd be lying if I said I think it was as good. The one thing that really made Der Eisendrache crazy was the final boss battle. I think that was amazing. The bows weren't very innovative. It kind of reminded me of the staffs. You know, Wonder Fizz was in it. It's kind of another non-original idea. No new perks or anything. The final boss battle blew it out of the park. Absolutely amazing. But I honestly just feel like the entirety of Shadows of Evil was just such a different thing that they did that was very, very cool. They really took a risk with it, and I'm going to give the point to Shadows of Evil on this one. All right, so we are at 3 points for Der Eisendrache, 2 points for Shadows of Evil, and 1 tie. And this is the last thing, and I threw this in. I'm not exactly sure what I want to call this, but I wanted to call it Learn Ability. And when I say Learn Ability, kind of involves like doing the map, setting up, like what's that process? Is it annoying? Is it tedious? Let's look at this. Shadows of Evil is a ridiculously tedious map. It is such a neat idea and they did so cool, but honestly, setting up for Pack-a-Punch every single time you want to play and getting that sword and waiting till like round 15 to get the Apothecant Servant is very annoying. You put the average player, so like, you know, round 10 to 15, that's like their max. You put them into Shadows of Evil, and it's not fun for them. I have so many friends that are casual zombies players, and they're just like, this is a cool map, but I can't even get to Pack-a-Punch. Like, that's ridiculous. And that's where it lost its theory. Der Eisendrache, on the other hand, is perfect. Pack-a-Punch is simple, power is simple, Everything else is difficult. So the basic players can do them. The good players can go upgrade their bows. You don't have to do it all. Very, very well done. And honestly, this is where, Eisendrache just blows Shadows of Evil out of the water. Everything else is pretty even, the wonder weapons and everything. But at the end of the day, just the thing that I really feel like made Shadows of Evil not the greatest map of all time is just how tedious it was to set up. Once you got set up, it was fun. And I like to pop into it like once a week. But, I really couldn't go back to play Shadows of Evil, every single day, 2 times a day. It's just ridiculous. So, guys, at the end of it, the conclusion is we're going to have 4 points to Eisendrache, 2 points to Shadows of Evil. I think both are good maps, but honestly, Eisendrache, a masterpiece. Absolutely amazing, amazing map. And I don't even know if the score reflects how amazing Eisendrache is. The gameplay, the storyline, the weapons, everything is just perfect. I was trying to think of like what I don't like about this map right now. And honestly, the only thing I can think is that when you do the Easter egg, your game crashes. That's like my biggest problem, and that's not the map's fault at all. The bows are a good like difficulty. It's not super tedious like the staffs. It's just nice, great. I like it. And that's it, guys. So I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you found it, interesting or whatever. Let me know if you want to do this for any other maps, or I'm even thinking of doing like a comparison between the staffs and the bows or something like that. But other than that, guys, feel free to leave a like, subscribe to the channel, all that stuff. But I'll see you later. Peace out. John Cena.